How y'all doing out there in YouTube land? It has been a while. I think it's been over a week since I posted. I take breaks like this periodically, just so you all know, to decompress, to reset, to focus on family. So I'll be coming back, and then I'm also working on my my music channel. So recording lots of raw footage for that, and I'll begin uploading lots of content to that channel in the very near future. But I wanted to get on and give you guys an update as to what's going on with the old Developing Dad podcast. I have been taking in information. Lots of stuff has been going on, obviously. You got Candace Owens doing her thing, dropping receipts, keeping people glued to her channel. And there's been some dust up. Yes, what's going on, Steve H? There's been some dust up or surrounding Candace and her platform. Many people have just been out of the blue deciding to comment on Candace's tactics and her channel and starting a firestorm. And then you got the shekel situation with Benjamin Netanyahu essentially giving us the game plan that they're about to censor hate speech against Israel. So the Zionists have purchased TikTok and are going to, and they've already started to make, oh, happy Columbus Day to you all too. Sorry about that, I forgot. Happy Columbus Day. But the Zionists have already begun to censor speech on TikTok. He's going to try to do the same thing on X. He says, hey, Elon's our friend, let's talk to him. They're going after Candace, and it's the same playbook over and over and over again against Candace. It's really kind of laughable to see that the same arguments being regurgitated over and over and over again against Candace. And I personally, so just so you all know, I'm not a fan of anybody. When people ask me that question, were you a fan of Charlie Kirk? No, I did not watch Charlie Kirk like that. I was not a fanatic. Am I a fan of Candace Owens? No, I'm not a fan of anybody. I'm not a fanatic about anybody except Jesus. Because I don't think we should be, as Christians, we should be fanatics about anybody. And so when people ask me, are you a fan of this person? I'm like, you just don't get me. You don't get me, because I'm not a fan of anyone. There are people who I glean wisdom from, but I'm not going to become fanatic about anyone. So if someone criticizes, let's say someone criticizes Charlie Kirk for his Zionist leanings prior to his death. Well, I had some criticisms about them. I'm like, yeah, he was a Zionist. I don't trust Zionists. Now, he seemed to be moving away from the rabidly pro-Israel cause, and I applaud him for that. I applauded him for that, and I was very happy to see that. But he went to the wall and prayed at the wall, and I mock that. I don't have any problem mocking people that go to that wall and pray. But especially if they call themselves Christians. But I'm not a fanatic for anyone. So if Candace says something that I disagree with, I will disagree with her, and I'll mention it. Now, I'm not going to slander or join the brigade of 7,030 silver shekel clan and try to impugn her character, because that's not Christ-like. But if she's dropping receipts, I want to know, because I believe that the hit on Charlie was not done by a single person. So yes, please, Candace, if Candace is the only one, I see that Patrick Bet David is kind of making some inferences. He's obviously not investigating it like Candace is. But yes, if Candace is the only person that's digging deeper into this of any notoriety or fame, then I'm going to listen to what she has to say. I'm going to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Like, there's some people that have been complaining or mentioned something on my channel about her having a dream that Charlie came to her in a dream and said that he was betrayed. Do I discount the fact that she had a dream? Absolutely not. People dream. Maybe she did have a dream. The significance of the dream, however, can be left up to my interpretation. She believes that the dream means that Charlie actually came to her. I believe that she's grieving and that she had a dream about her friend, and her friend reaffirmed the things that she already believes. We can disagree about the interpretation, but the fact that she mentioned the dream shouldn't be a disqualifier for the valid information that she's presenting on her channel, the text message stream, right? The fact that she's seen the video, the behind Charlie Kirk video in 4K. So it's not one thing that you should start to pay attention to is the character assassination. That's what the left did for years, and the right complained that those were their tactics. Now you see people on the right doing the same thing to Candace Owens and to Tucker Carlson. They want them deplatformed. They want them silenced. Don't deal with their arguments. No, we want them silenced, because we can't have dissent amongst the ranks. This is the mindset of all totalitarians. And so we've got the totalitarian right showing themselves, right? They're showing new colors, and the totalitarian left that has been showing their true colors for the past 8 to 12 10 to 12 years. Now, but be mindful of that. If there are people who are trying to silence Candace Owens, silence Tucker Carlson, like the Netanyahus of the world, like all of the Zionists on our timelines, if they're constantly trying to silence instead of engaging with the actual information, then you have your new totalitarians, you have your new fascists who will claim to be anti-fascist, right? And the Charlie Kirk assassination has just brought them to the fore. We can now see who they are. Well, Tucker and Candace shouldn't be allowed to spread their propaganda and their hate and their anti-Semitism. Do you realize that anti-Semitism is now the new what's the word? Whenever racism, anti-Semitism is the new racism. Anti-Semitism is the new LGBTQ, anti-LGBTQ. Whenever they want to silence you, they just hurl insults and hope that you shut up. But in this time, at this place, in this season, we cannot stop. For those of us that voted right this time and were more third party, well, looks like we're getting some of the things that we want, but it also looks like business as usual in some areas, right? So we have to live in the tension, right? But that's one of the reasons why we put our faith not in men but in Christ Jesus. But I'm also very, very encouraged with some of the things that I'm seeing with young men seeking out Christianity, pushing back on some of the nonsense that they see in churches. And I think that large-scale repentance needs to happen in a lot of these churches. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, but we keep trying to push back on this Zionist, and it has to be we have to be breakneck about it now, because Netanyahu has essentially laid down the gauntlet, saying he's going to, with TikTok and hopefully in his mind X, he's going to silence all dissent against Israel. They're losing the battle in the intellectual front. So now what do they have to do? They have to silence you. Young people are anti-Israel at levels we haven't seen in years, and rightfully so. You're losing the battle because your position is one not of strength in argumentation. It's deception. It's clandestine behavior. Well, internet now, people can read, and so they're going to keep reading, and they're going to keep trying to figure it out. And I know that multiple people, multiple young men that I know, including some that are very close to me, have figured it out, and they're not being fooled by this any longer. And Israel's got a lot of work to do if it wants to clean up its image, but censoring people on TikTok is not going to be the answer. So you've got Netanyahu. You may think that owning social media is going to help you. Now, you could just stop all of the evil stuff that you're doing. That could, but they're not going to do that, right? Because deception is the Israeli government's modus operandi. So now we've had so much stuff going on. Trump doing some good stuff and then doing some really bad stuff too. I don't know. He gives and takes away. He gives and takes away. What's going on, Brother Derek Franklin? I can't look down at the comments because I don't want to die. But I appreciate y'all. All right. And then you had Vodi's funeral. Many of you may or may not know Vodi Bakum, but I would say the two people that the two models that our family, that if you want to know what my family is doing, we modeled a lot of what we do after Vodi's books and a lot of his public speaking. A lot of it. You know, obviously we put our own flavor on it. It's Vodi, the Bakums, and then the Kane Masons. If you're familiar with the Kane Mason family, it's a black family in England. Sheku Mason is one of the more famous cellists in the world right now, and he has siblings. I don't know how many of them it is, but it's a bunch of them, and they all play instruments, and they're all very good. And my family's modeling itself after those two families, right? We're classically educated, homeschool musicians and the like, right? So, yes, I know it seems like we were so afraid of China, but then we find out, well, it was actually they wanted to sell TikTok to Jewish Zionist Jews. At this point, yeah, I don't know, man. Y'all gotta help me. I'm going to start doing some more episodes. I'll probably try. If I wasn't on the way to lunch with an old friend of mine, I would have done an episode today. But whew, man, it's hard out here, right? It's hard to figure out. It's pretty easy to figure out, but it's hard to wrap your mind around how America is occupied. I forget, it's in my bookmarks, but the young man was in the halls of Congress asking politicians, who's more important, the American population, the American people, or Israel? And not one of the politicians could answer with a straight face or emphatically or immediately the American people, without a doubt. They hedged their bets. Well, Israel's our greatest ally, and I don't think it's a difference between the two. What? Are you serious? How can you, in good content? We're occupied. We're just occupied. Well, I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh, okay. Israel owns America. Right? Whether it's because of theological reasons, whether it's AIPAC, whether it's whatever, Israel owns America. And just coming to that realization of like, well, how do we fight this? But then being encouraged that the next generation of the younger generation sees it as well, and they're not fooled by it, and they're not going to be pro-Israel just because. So that's a good thing. But man, recognizing that right now our biggest problem and our biggest issue is that we are an occupied nation. And so what do you do about that? What do you do about that today? Because I have kids, and I don't want them to live under Israeli occupation. I don't want them to live under Israeli occupation, Muslim occupation, Chinese occupation, no type of occupation. I don't want us to be occupied. But I mean, that seems crazy. I know that I'm an American and I want American interest. Anyway, y'all, I'm here. I'll give y'all a chew on. I'll let y'all chew on that. I'll come back later. And let y'all know, yeah, what the new schedule is going to be. Until next time, be on the alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men.